Hello class, this is Mr. Ferris, and in this video I'm going to be taking you through how to place new images into your Photoshop file and some other compositing techniques. Now at this point you should be on page 206 in your text, so at this point you should have been able to set your guides. As you can see, I have them here and locked in place and ready to go. Now in your book, again, it refers to using MiniBridge, which is an outdated piece of software no longer associated with the Adobe Suite. Instead, a very simple way to add images into your layers panel is either to go to File and Place Embedded, and you can see here you go to your movie folder and you can select the storm picture.jpg just to show you all what that looks like. There it is. And so you can either place this way, and you can see it enters in here, or I want to undo that by doing Command-Alt-Z. I can go in and do File, Place Linked, and do the same item. Again, storm.jpg. The difference in doing this is when you place a linked file, you create what's known as a smart object. Smart objects are really powerful. We won't go into them that much in this course, but what you can essentially do with them is when they're open in Photoshop, you can come over here to your layers panel and you can select your smart object. Now you can come in here and you can edit the original. You can go in here and adjust the contrast, make it something kind of really dark and stormy, and hit OK, and then you can actually save this file. And now you can see it is changed here in your main file because it is linked by a smart object. So anything you do in this image automatically comes through this and is completely non-destructive. Now I'm going to undo that and undo my changes here, so we're back to normal. And now it is here in this back to normal in this file. Now at this point you can just make sure to save your Aftermath file, and you'll notice that you'll get this maximize compatibility message. Don't worry. You know, there is in some versions of Photoshop there were some errors mixing PSD files and PSB files and other applications. In this case, you don't have to worry about this. You can actually hit Don't Show Again and just hit OK. So after it saves, you have everything placed in, and we can go from here. Now again, by this point you should be on page 208 in your text, and it's going to tell you to try to work with the marquee tools, and again it's going to reference bridge. In this case, all you have to do is just go to your desktop folder, which for me is in Finder, and let's see, we'll go to desktop, work in progress, movie, and Skyline. So just so you can see that, I'm going to hit the space bar so you can see what file I'm talking about, and simply just drag this onto your Photoshop icon and it'll open in a new file. So again, don't worry about working with bridge. This should take care of what you need. Now at this point you're going to be working with compositing this image and using different techniques. I'm not going to go through this step by step, but I am going to show you some basics. So one really simple way to grab the skyline without the sky in this project would be to use something like the Magic Wand tool. You can see what the Magic Wand tool does is it identifies similarly colored pixels and bundles those into a selection that you can then cut or mask or work away or whatever you need to do with it. So in this case, you can see if I just click the Magic Wand tool once, it gives me this full selection. Now to give you a better idea what this does, I'm actually going to apply a layer mask, and you can see it masks everything but the sky, or I can invert this using Command-I, and it gives me everything except for the sky. Now this again is, this will turn, when you save this, you will turn this into a Photoshop file that you can then work and composite and play with in other files without destroying the original image. So I am going to undo what I did just to show you what we have there. Now in your book, it's going to ask you to work with the rectangular marquee tool. Your marquee tools are all stored underneath your cursor tools, and you have rectangular, elliptical, single row, and single column. So these work just like a selection tool in any other program. Once you have it selected, you can come in here and click and drag, and you can see I've got a full selection among my entire image, or I can come in here and just select part of an image. I believe in your text it asks you to grab a width of 8.5 inches by 10.67 inches. Well, this image is actually 10.6 tall, so you can come in here and you can just drag right until, let's see, oh, this image is a little bit bigger than I thought. So we'll need to resize this using the image size dialog, where you can go to image, image size, and we can now change this to 300 ppi resolution. Oop. We'll do that. And it looks like everything should be saved at 300 ppi. We'll just hit OK. And now you should be able to come here and drag your marquee tool as such. So you're going to drag until you hit 8.5, which I'm going to get really, really close to here. If you can't get it exactly, that's fine, but oh, looks like we just hit it, so 8.5 inches. All right. Now at this point you've made a selection, and you've taken this, and now you need to move this to the center of your page. Now what you can do is inside the selection marquee, you can just click and drag this to center, and Photoshop has introduced these great guides here that will actually center your marquee for you. You can see them outlined in purple. So I'm just going to let go, and now I have a perfectly centered marquee. And from here you can use your marquee tools to select or to manipulate your selection. So after you have this part set up on page 210 in your book, it's going to ask you to subtract from selection. All this means is that you're going to come here and you're going to look at your marquee tools, and you're going to select this third option, subtract from selection. Now everything up to this point you've just used the default tool, which is just add to select, or just new selection. So you've made these new rectangular selections of your image, and you can work with these in any kind of way. Now when you use the subtract from selection, what you want to do is you're going to come to the bottom of your boat line right here, and you're just going to drag across and let go. And you can see that it completely takes that away, and you have a new, more of a square format selection. Alright, now to get this into your main Aftermath file, it's really simple. Just go to Edit, Copy, and then come over to aftermath.psd and hit Edit, Paste. And boom, you've added this to your image as a new layer. Do be sure to come in here and rename your layers as you go. I have my storm layer right here, and this one I would just call this Skyline. Now this should give you a good idea of how to add images into your project and how to get them into Photoshop. In the next video I want to take you actually through how to apply layer masks, how to make selections, and how to work with all these objects within Photoshop. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me again, pferris@mc.edu, or just contact me through Moodle Quick Mail.